Even if you told me right now that you gossip every day, I would know that that is not true.
Because of my writing?
Yes.
You wouldn't go off my own testimony?
No.
Because that's less accurate than the handwriting?
In this case, yes, because this is science. So, my name is Malik Thomas Sterling. I'm a certified hypnotherapist, and today we were just at Runyon Canyon doing some free handwriting analysis, basically helping people find out about their subconscious mind. When you do handwriting, it's the direct pathway between your sort of idiomotor response, which is like your writing with your hand,
Yeah.
to the subconscious mind. So you can see all about someone's personality, traits, habits, all of that.
It's a direct way to get to the unconscious through the idiomatic response through handwriting. It's just a way to figure out your unconscious.
Exactly.
And what is specific about your unconscious again?
Everything from habits to relationship patterns to issues, even like addiction or aggression, all types of things.
Amazing.
Yeah.
How long you want to chat about that for? Do you have time? 5-10 minutes?
Yeah, we have time.
Okay, cool. Love to chat about that. So, if we could, is hypnotherapy real? Like, is it really doing these things?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
And I get that question a lot. Hypnotherapy is very real. And you'd be surprised to know that we're hypnotized multiple times a day. That state right in between sort of the waking state and sleeping state, right? As you're waking up, that's hypnosis. That sort of like fuzzy, like I'm not quite awake yet, but I'm not so asleep.
We're in parts. We're like hypnotized in parts of the day.
Yeah.
Like when we're waking up and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, exactly. But a better example is, for example, when you're driving and you go into this sort of trance, this daze, and you miss your stop or you miss your exit. And it's kind of like you weren't even there, and it's like, how did I miss my exit?
Yeah, it's like we drive like automatically, and we forget like
Right, exactly.
what we were doing like 5 minutes ago, but we were driving.
Yeah, exactly. And part of that is, being overwhelmed by message units in the environment, right? So that's what we call environmental hypnosis.
Environmental hypnosis.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, for example, like right now, everybody's kind of hypnotized because of all the things that are going on in the world. Hypnotism is basically created when we actually induce a state of anxiety, and then you go into like either fight or flight. But most people just go into flight. So when you're born and you're just like age 0, everyone has 2 defense mechanisms: fight or flight, right? And then over time, you start to develop your personality with like known associations. So, for example, broccoli could be like negative, and like cake could be a reward or like a sign of affection. Your mom gave you cake every time. So, those are just examples. But basically, by the time we're like 8 or 9, we start to develop our own sense of logic, decision making, willpower, all of that stuff, and the critical mind comes into play. That's why when you're like 8 or 9, kids know that Santa Claus isn't real, right? Because you're not taking in everything as literal. You're not a sponge.
Yeah.
And there's a critical sort of barrier that develops.
The brain develops more. Yeah.
Exactly. So what we do in hypnosis is we actually introduce a lot of message units to create basically anxiety. And then by doing that, it sends the person into fight or flight, and then it's like you have no choice but to escape. And then that's when the mind opens up to new ideas.
Oh, so when you do hypnotherapy, the way to do it is putting people in a fight or flight type of feeling state
Yeah.
by inducing anxiety, and that makes them hypnotized?
Well, that makes them finally let go and escape into hypnosis.
That's the way to get into hypnosis.
Yeah, exactly. And it starts like a trance state, and then from there, they're more suggestible, they're more open to other suggestions. The critical wall, or the critical mind faculty, in other words, your guard is let down, basically.
Guards let down.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen some hypnotism, like, stuff happen, and it's like, they're not like pretending. They're somewhere else.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
definitely real. But in hypnotherapy, it's not like a stage show where we have people quack like dogs and chickens. I mean, people that come to me are coming to me for like real life issues.
Yeah, let's talk about those things. How well does hypnotherapy actually get to these real issues? How accurate are these things it's getting out of like handwriting and stuff? How do we know? How do we know how accurate these things we're getting are true?
That's a good question. So the handwriting part is something that's been studied for like hundreds of years. It's not just something that is like a trick or a gimmick. It's really science based, and it's been tested time and time again. And when I first started doing it, I had the same question,
Yeah.
and each and every time it's accurate. And sometimes there are things that come up that I don't even want to tell a person.
Okay.
But then when I do, they're so glad that I did.
How does
because-
it work?
How does it work? It is an idiomotor response. So basically, for example, okay, let me go into more detail. So
I've
like,
got a notepad here.
okay,
What should I do?
you want to do it right now?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'd
let's
love
do
to
it. So why don't you write on the notepad?
Uh-huh.
Are there lines on that notepad?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Are there lines on the back of that?
Yes.
Okay, do you have
I have these. Is that big enough? Or
do you have anything blank? Actually, hold on. Hey Ryan, can you have a blank piece of paper?
I can write on the Postit Notes.
No, that's not enough.
Okay.
Okay, so go ahead and fill out as much as you can on that page. It could be about any topic. Try to write it in cursive if you can.
In cursive. Oh my gosh, I haven't written in cursive in a long
Because when
time.
you write in cursive, it allows a complete flow state.
I don't know if you can read what I write.
It
in
doesn't
cursive.
matter.
I can't read. I can't write in cursive. Okay.
Just try.
I can write anything. And then you'll read the handwriting and you'll know about my unconscious stuff. Okay. Awesome. And I just write anything.
Just write.
Okay. Oh my God, I haven't written in cursive in a long time. Okay. Wow.
So basically, the way it works is it's honestly, I don't know the science behind it. I just know that I've studied the science and that I know that it's true because I've been doing it. And it's not something that I created. It's something that has been done for a long time, and it's just a study. People even do it for like certain corporations, like Fortune 500 companies have like handwriting analysis come in, and You know,
Fortune 500 companies.
yeah, that's not what I'm doing it for. But
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if that's enough.
no, it's definitely not.
Okay.
Try to fill up half the page. I realize that
Half
we're
the
live.
page. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll try to write faster.
So with hypnosis and hypnotherapy, it's not the same as regular talk therapy. What we do is we talk to the person about their issue, and then we come up with, where they're at, what they want to achieve, and we use a combination of metaphors and imagery combined with their own goals and their own language, basically feed it back to them. And the cool thing about it is that once your, critical mind faculty is out of the way, you're more open to suggestions, and that's where change comes into play. A lot of times people say, like, oh, I want to stop smoking, or oh, I want to lose weight. But the human mind wants to stay in homeostasis. And we always want to stick with what we know because that's our comfort zone. And so that's why, people have a hard time achieving their goals. Plus, the conscious mind is only responsible for 12% of our thinking patterns and our behavior. So the other 88%, the subconscious mind has us on autopilot all the time, which is why we're not really running the show. And we tend to repeat the same patterns over and over. So with hypnosis, we actually are able to bring in the other 88% and bring it on board with the 12% so you can get 100% of your mind working towards your goals and being consistent with your behavior and actions.
Okay. So it's a very positive utility. Being able to figure that stuff out.
Absolutely. Okay, that's good enough. Let's see. Let's see what we got.
Okay. 2 seconds.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay. There you
Okay.
go.
Let's see.
I can try to read it if you can't read it.
No, it's okay. Okay, great. So I'm not. You want me to read it out loud? No, it doesn't. It doesn't really matter about what you wrote, anyways. It just matters about
You can
the
read
strokes.
it. Those are questions I'm wondering about.
Okay, so you
Yeah.
want me to read it?
Sure, if you want to.
Okay, it says, I'm wondering about how we could figure it out. Is there any way to test this? What would a failed test look like? Is there anything that could be observed that would lower your confidence? Is that right?
Yeah,
Is that
that's
what it
right.
says?
Yeah, that's
and,
right.
and then it says
There's lower your confidence that this is true.
that this is true.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. So give me just a second to look at things.
Sure.
Okay. So the first thing I notice, is there a camera here?
You're right here.
Okay, so the first thing I notice are the margins. Okay? This is the margin for the self and or to the past. So everything to this side of the page is for self or past. This is for future or for others. So it looks like you give yourself some space and some time on a regular day-to-day basis or in a general basis. But you have a tendency to give more time and space to others than you do towards yourself.
It seems pretty balanced.
Mm-hmm.
Left and right. Margins, maybe more to the right.
Yeah.
So that means I
Slightly,
I put more
slightly
priority on
more
the
to
future
right. Yeah. Well, to the future or for others.
or for others.
Yeah.
Or future or others.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's really but it's really more about others.
More for others.
So, for example, you give time and space to others slightly more than you do towards yourself.
That's what you're reading from that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
As far as the eye, it's open, and this loop. So the eye is all about self-image, right? So you're open to others' criticism of you and or thoughts about you, not overly, because this loop isn't super wide, so it's not like you're insecure. It's not about that, but you are open to others' criticism about you.
And you know that just from seeing the loop there on the eye?
Well, not just that one, but there are other loops.
Other things.
Yeah. I mean, there are other loops that are similar. So overall, it looks like that's consistent.
Okay.
I can't hear myself anymore, but whatever. It
That's
doesn't
fine,
matter.
whatever.
Let's see. As far as the O's, so the O's are all about like how closed mouth you are. So as you can see, your O's.
How closed mouth?
Yeah.
Closed what?
Closed mouth. Sorry, I'm using like hypnosis language, but basically closed mouth means like, do you gossip about others? Do you talk about others? Can you keep a secret?
Okay.
And all of your O's are completely closed, which is a good thing.
So I'm not gossiping?
No, you're not gossiping.
Because you can see my closed O's?
Yes.
Okay, wow.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
You're trustworthy. You're a trustworthy person. And you can keep things confidential, which is great for the field that you're in. Let's see. Looks like now the I's. The lowercase i's are about detail, whereas the uppercase i's are about self-image. So I noticed that on every single I, you dot every single I.
Okay.
So that means you're detail-oriented. You have a lot of people who don't dot any I's, and those people are usually less detail-oriented. And then there can be a variation of dots. So the dots could be like super forward or super backward. So that's like various things. But we can tell a lot about the way you dot your I's in particular on the lowercase side.
So if you need to cross your T's, dot your I's, and that if you do that, you're a more detailed person.
Well, crossing the T's is not about...
Oh, it's something else.
Crossing the T's is about confidence.
Oh.
So, with that being said, so the stem is all about self-esteem, and then the crossing of the T's is about confidence.
What's about STEM? What?
The stem is about self-esteem, which is
What's the STEM?
the stem is like how high
Oh.
the bar is, and then the crossing is the crossing of the T. So the
On
stem,
T's? Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So the stem is upward, crossing is this way. And there's a difference between self-esteem and confidence. You know, self-esteem is how we see ourselves, how we feel about ourselves. But confidence is how we project that and how we sort of behave as far as it relates to our self-esteem. And let's see. So I got a couple of things from your teas. The self-esteem is pretty good. So your sense of self is pretty good. In certain teas, it was a little bit lower, but I think it's also just because you're rushing. Overall, it's fine. The confidence level is average. It's not low, but it's not super high. It's about average. It's what we see normally. There may be a tendency to be a little bit stubborn and stuck in your ways, and I can see that in some of the lower parts of the teas. So you got quiet there, so you know that's true. But okay. See, I told you it was true. So anyways, but I can see that based on the wideness. It's like, so like imagine a tent, like imagine this tea being like a tent. And it's very wide and just stuck there.
Okay.
That shows us the stubbornness.
Okay, we could take a pause and just wondering about. I'm just very interested in how we could figure out if this is a reliable way to figure these things out. This method. How reliable is this to figure out these metrics?
Will you tell me if any of that was true?
Is that asking me if I did say something was true? Would that just be? Is it because of my handwriting? And you figuring that out,
Or is it because I just hypnotized you?
or because of like other explanations?
Well, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
And let's go into that. So with hypnosis, right? Hypnosis does work, and it is real.
Could I get your confidence about that? Like, if absolutely yes is right here, absolutely no is right there, where would you put your confidence about that?
Let me answer it in two ways. Hypnotherapy is real.
Absolutely.
Absolutely real. But why is it real?
Yeah, that's the question.
It's real because people experience real results.
People experience real results.
Yes, they do. It's not a scam. I mean, people always, every person that I've ever done hypnotherapy for, they've always experienced results. Some of them have taken more time. And it's interesting because people who have taken more time, they've had more resistance, and they didn't really believe in hypnotherapy. But the more results they see...
Yeah, I'm like right here, and I'd love to know what I'm missing.
You're right there?
Yeah.
And what part of it makes you feel like you're right there?
I just have other hypotheses that I'm thinking of
Like what?
that could explain why.
Like a placebo effect?
Maybe.
Yeah,
Like
because there is a placebo effect for sure, but the results still work. And I mean, hypnosis is something that has been around for thousands and thousands of years, since like Egypt.
And does the age of something relate to its truth and utility? Like, is something the older it is more likely to be true?
No, of course not.
Okay.
But I think that the results do prove that it's effective.
Effective at doing what?
Effective at helping people's issues and problems, whatever they may be.
Yeah. Could this be effective yet not true?
Absolutely.
Does it matter to you if it's true? If what this is doing is actually doing what you're thinking it's doing?
What my clients experience is true and real to them, and I've seen results. I mean, like if someone's coming to me for hypnotherapy and they have, like, let's say, a smoking addiction, and after we do 6 sessions, they stop smoking, and a year later they're not smoking anymore, but they were smoking for 40 years, 2 packs a day.
And
But with everything in life, your mind is very powerful. And if your mind is not on board, and if you don't do the work, then it's not real and it's not true. And is hypnotherapy by itself going to work for every single person? Absolutely not. People have to believe in the power of hypnotherapy for sure, and there is a bit of like placebo effect, but also they have to do the work. So it's all circumstantial. But at the end of the day, like the idea of like hypnotism is a fact.
If we took like one of these things, like the what is it, gossip? There's something about O and gossip, right?
Right.
Is there any way to test that claim that O's in a certain, if O's are closed, then the person is more likely to gossip? Is that the claim? Or not
No.
gossip?
Not gossip.
So if someone writes closed O's, that's a closed mouth, so they're not gossiping.
Correct.
How could we test that claim? How could we go about testing that? Is that testable?
Well, it's testable. Yeah, I mean, so do you gossip?
Without asking people. Is there a way to scientifically do this? Like with like a blind, I don't want to bias like study.
Well,
like
right, I understand.
recommendations.
Well, okay, so I don't know if there's a scientific way, but there is certainly a behavioral study type of way, which is how this came about. People study people's behavior. People, like whoever, like the people that came up with this, scientists and psychologists for years and years and years, they've studied people's behavior, their clients' behavior. There have been like hundreds of thousands of, maybe not hundreds of thousands, but there have been like thousands of different comparative studies. So is there a way to scientifically prove it? No. But is there a way to socially do studies and to collect data? Yes.
Socially do it. I'm
Socially.
learning about more rigorous ways of,
Like
of
what?
testing it.
Like with brainwave?
Not necessarily. Like the O gossip, that's interesting. So if we want to like wonder about ways to test this, want to give my opinion, you can let me know about what your thoughts on my
Yeah,
on my
I would love to
opinion
know your opinion.
on testing this. So
I think it's interesting.
maybe like they usually do this on college campuses. So 1,000 students come in and write down like a story. You can get there in cursive, and you can figure out closed O's. That means they would be less likely to gossip. So now we need to figure out how to measure their gossip rate. If we had a way to
it's
measure
not
that.
Okay, right. So, right. And I understand what you're saying, but like, so that's good, but also like if the O is like slightly open into the back or looped, then they're like most likely to filter or like talk like it's very intricate, you know?
Yep.
So it's not that black and white, but go ahead.
So each thing can have its own hypothesis and make its own predictions.
Right, okay.
So like a closed O, whatever that looks like, has the prediction of certain phenomenon X. Another way it's shown on the paper is another phenomenon prediction Y. And we see if we can measure the phenomenon and how well it predicts, how well this model predicts the phenomenon.
Well, that's how they came up with it. I mean, that's kind of like what I was saying with the social proof. Like,
Is there any studies that have tested it this way?
yes, but I will be honest, I don't know them off the top of my head. Let me pull it up because I mean this is taught.
Taught?
Yeah, like this isn't something that we came up with. This is something like there are books. There are like hundreds of books about handwriting analysis, and where did it start? I don't know.
Are there any therapies taught in books that are not real?
Yes,
Could this
there
be
are.
one of them? How can we tell?
It could be.
Yeah, and I'd love to figure out if this is one of those. If there's one way.
It could be, but I tell you what, every single person that I've done a handwriting analysis for, they say that it's accurate. Like, I never had anyone say that it wasn't.
What does a failed test look like? Them saying it's not accurate?
For me, yeah. If they say, no, that's not true, then that's like a failure on my part, but I've never had that happen.
Yeah. Could there be other alternative explanations for why they're saying it's accurate? besides it
There
being
could be. I mean, I've had people say things like, I'm not sure about that. And then I ask them further questions, and then it's like, well,
yeah.
and
Are you,
like,
are you keeping a record of the accuracy, or are you only keeping like the confirmation? What percent is accurate of all the
okay.
of everything
So,
you've done?
okay. So let's be 100%
Yeah.
real right now,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, everything is not always perfect, but overall, they have been accurate. Like today, this girl kind of turned up her nose about something that I said about relationships, you know, and I was like, okay, and that's fine because everything is not perfect. But also, her handwriting was also kind of sloppy, and I couldn't really read one of the like loop characters about the relationship. So then I asked her. I was like, well, does that mean that blah blah blah? And then she was like, yeah, I guess so. So it turned out that she was sending mixed messages to her partners.
Mixed messages.
Yeah. So then those mixed messages were in the writing. So it's like, so there are all types of reasons why it could be less accurate or more accurate, and everything's not always perfect. No.
What would you need to see to lower your confidence even slightly about this, that this is real, hypothetically?
So it's that, and then
There is no way.
There's nothing that could change your mind?
Even if you told me right now that you gossip every day, I would know that that is not true.
Because of my writing?
Yes.
You wouldn't go off my own testimony?
No.
Because that's less accurate than the handwriting?
In this case, yes, because this is science. Humans have the opportunity to lie and deceive, and I would trust science over any human.
So there's nothing you could learn to find out. That means it's not based on evidence?
It's based on science. And
It means
it's based on science.
to
And I can pull it up.
believe something is based on evidence means that there could be future evidence that could come along to change your mind. That's what it necessarily means to have your beliefs based on evidence?
So, absolutely, and I agree with you. And I think that when people aren't open to new evidence, that they're extremely limiting themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that they are extremely small-minded.
Yeah, you seem like a very open-minded, rational
I am open-minded, but when it comes to this, I'm not, because this is what I do every day, and I know that it's usually extremely accurate, and the only time it's not accurate is if someone is not telling the truth.
If this is based on science and evidence, what science and evidence could change your mind if it came along to you?
There is none, because I've seen the proof with my own eyes, and the best evidence.
The best evidence is your own personal experience with it?
Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
Because we have to decide for ourselves what we believe, and that's why we're in the mess that we're in the world. It's because everyone's trying to find information from outside sources, but the truth is, no one's information is better than your own information.
No one's information is better than your own?
Yeah.
Even rigorous studies about this? Like scientific studies that are double-blind?
The scientific studies that have been done about this confirm that it's true. Now, if there was some...
What's the best example? I try to be on Saturdays. Maybe I'd love to see a study. Like I could be.
Okay, well, have you heard of graphology?
Graphology?
Yeah, because that's where handwriting analysis started. So if you look up graphology, right now on Wikipedia, then there's all types of stuff, history.
Is there a criticism section?
Let's find it. I'm on it right now.
What does the criticism section say?
I don't see any criticism. Is that normal for Wikipedia?
I don't know. But I don't want to like have a Wikipedia war.
Oh no. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, we don't even have to say their name.
Yeah.
It could just be like information. But you raise a good point, and I'm open to others' opinions about it. But I would still use it, even if there was a study saying that it wasn't as accurate, because I've done it on myself. I've done handwriting analysis on myself, and I was shocked to see some of the things that I saw about myself.
If there
And
were more sorry, go ahead. I don't want to
yeah,
interrupt
no,
you.
that's
go,
it.
Go ahead.
I was shocked to see some of the things that it brought up about myself that were absolutely true. So I know it's accurate for me.
Okay. All right. If there are more reliable ways to learn things about yourself besides hypnotherapy, would you want to learn about those things?
Of course. Absolutely.
Sweet.
I want to learn about everything.
Cool.
Yeah. And I do other things besides hypnotherapy. I also do EFT, which is emotional freedom technique, which is tapping. Do you know about that?
No.
So it's similar to acupuncture.
Oh.
But instead of like sticking needles in different meridians, you're like tapping on.
Meridians?
Yes. On
Different areas in the body?
different areas of the body, like energy points of the body.
Energy points.
Right.
Cool.
And there could be like stuck energy, kind of like somatic trauma or whatever.
I'm also very skeptical of those things, but I'm very interested in these things and how it can know. I try to be here on Saturdays. This is really great. Malik.
Yeah.
And I like to try to have multiple conversations with the same people, and I like to give one of these little gears as a gift.
Oh, okay.
If you want to take one, and then you can come
Thank
back and get the
you.
rest if you see me again.
Is it the whole thing or is it just the one?
Just
thing?
one piece, and then you can come
Okay.
back and fill out the rest and get another one.
Okay.
And I'd love it. Appreciate any questions for me?
This is really interesting. Thank you for having me.
Sure.
If anyone wants to find out more, you can reach me at www.thehollywoodhypno.com. I work with all types of people who are working on confidence, breaking bad habits, negative self-talk, and I do a free 15-minute phone consultation. So if you are skeptical or if you have any more questions,
Just any more questions? Talk to me.
let me know.
No, love it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Malik.
It was cool.
It was great.
I'm taking the water with me.
Sure. Thank you. You can if you want to, sure.